Hey YouTube, welcome to this small little lesson that I want to share. And really, more so, this might even be a rant that I need to just come out and say because it's something I've been seeing that's been populating YouTube and some of the podcasts I've been listening to lately. So I just kind of want to get into it, right? There's this debate about conditioning versus just counting steps. And this has been growing on social medias for a while, right? So there's been this growing idea floating around lately that I've just seen it all over Instagram, all over YouTube shorts, and people are essentially fitness experts are basically saying, "Hey, you don't need to condition anymore. Just hit 10,000 steps a day and you're good. 15,000 steps a day, you don't need to do anything more than that and you'll get the body composition that you want." Now, I get it. We live in a world that loves to simplify things, right? People want clean, trackable numbers. Apple Watches buzz, Fitbits vibrate, and boom, you feel like you've accomplished something. But we got to be real with ourselves a little bit, right? Hitting a step count and doing actual conditioning work are wildly two different things. So steps measure movement, not necessarily the fitness. So what I mean by that is I'm not really an anti-step guy, right? I actually love counting my steps, right? I track my steps. It's a great way of keeping tabs on how much you move throughout the day. And really, it helps monitor your NEAT, non-exercise activity thermogenesis. So basically, all the calories that you burn outside of the gym, walking to your car, cleaning your house, chasing your kids around, right? All of those things, pacing on the telephone when you're talking, all of those things add up to your step count. And NEAT, if you're trying to get fit and you're trying to change your conditioning, right, your body composition, all of that matters. And NEAT matters, especially if you're trying to manage that. And for some folks, adding 2 to 3 additional steps a day is the difference between a plateau and a slow cut. But here's the thing. We have to separate activity from conditioning. Just because you're getting steps in doesn't mean that you're actually pushing your cardiovascular system in a meaningful way. It doesn't mean that your heart's getting stronger, your VO2 max is improving, or that your body is actually learning how to clear lactate more efficiently, right? So I'm a big fan of doing zone 2 work. That's what I do. That's my primary mode of conditioning. So what does zone 2 actually really do? So let's talk about conditioning and specifically just that, zone 2. Zone 2 is a steady, moderate intensity cardio session where you're breathing a little heavier than normal, but you can still hold a conversation, right? Think of like a brisk walk on an incline treadmill, an easy jog, a casual bike ride, maybe a long row, something like that. You're not gasping for air, but your body is working. That kind of training is gold. Why? Because it literally improves how efficiently your mitochondria produces energy. It builds an aerobic base. It teaches your heart to beat stronger and slower. And it increases your stroke volume, which is basically how much blood your heart pumps per beat. And that means more oxygen gets delivered with less effort. And for former athletes, much like ourselves, especially those of us that no longer play at a high level, zone 2 work is one of the most underrated tools for staying healthy, staying fit, and recovering better from harder training session. The way I look at step counts and zone 2 or cardio work, they're serving two completely different purposes. Here's the real point. Step count and zone 2 work are measuring two totally different things. Steps are a metric of movement, and zone 2 is a stimulus for adaptation. Let's make that clear, right? Metrics versus something that drives adaptation. You're not going to build cardiac output, capillary density, or aerobic efficiency just by getting 10,000 steps a day. And especially if those steps are spread across 12 hours at a snail's pace. You're never really pushing your heart rate at that. So when people say things like, I don't do cardio, I just walk 10,000 steps a day, that's like saying, I don't strength train, I just carry groceries in. It's missing the point. So I want to just use a real world analogy. Think of step counts like brushing your teeth. It's part of your daily hygiene. it keeps your baseline clean. But zone 2 work, that's like going to the dentist and getting a real deep clean. It addresses the stuff that regular brushing won't ever touch. So your steps are like you brushing, and zone 2 or cardio work is like the dentist. If you're a former athlete, imagine the difference between running through warm-ups at practice versus a 60-minute lift or a conditioning session. They're both movement. One's preparatory, but the other is developmental. So that's the same idea with this. So how do I actually go about programming this stuff? Now, a lot of you in this former athlete society are already probably lifting 3 to 4 times a week. Maybe you're running hills. Maybe you're jumping back into picking pickup basketball or rec league or lifting. Where does zone 2 actually fit in to any of this, right? Here's my take. You should aim for 2 to 3 zone 2 sessions a week. Keep it between 30 to 60 minutes. Pick something that's repeatable, low impact if possible. So like an incline treadmill, an air bike, a rower, a sled push, and make it sustainable. You're not redlining, you're not pushing your heart to max effort. You're literally training with patience. And yes, you should still track your steps. It's still important. But understand that steps are a floor. They're not a ceiling. You're not a couch potato baseline. Zone 2 is where you can build that aerobic fitness and your fitness actually can live. So there's also some really important recovery benefits. And one thing that I don't think gets talked about enough is how zone 2 can actually help your recovery. When you stay in that aerobic zone, you're stimulating blood flow without adding a ton of stress. You're literally pushing oxygen and nutrients into your tissues, into your tendons, into your muscles, your joints, without actually tearing anything down. So if you're sore, you're banged up, you're mentally foggy from lifting, a 40-minute zone 2 walk can really reset you. It's not physically demanding, not mentally demanding, but really actually adds to your recovery. And honestly, for me, some of the clearest thoughts I get in a day come from my 30-minute deep, steady incline walks. And another thing about zone 2 work is that I don't have time excuse. Let's address it because I hear it a lot, whether it's on Instagram, on YouTube shorts, everywhere. I don't have time to do cardio. Listen, I get it. Life post-athletics is busy. Work, relationships, family, stress. But here's where things can get better. Conditioning doesn't have to be this full-blown event. You don't need to gear up and mentally get ready and crush yourself, anything like that. Throw in a zone 2 session while watching film, listening to a podcast, catching up on a work call, right? If you got a treadmill desk or a standing desk or a stationary bike, you can fit it in there too. So it's not about the effort of zone 2 necessarily, although effort's important, don't get me wrong. It's about the consistency of it, right? So here is the bottom line. Step count should equate to your total movement, right? Neat. Activity level, it's all being tracked. But zone 2 is intentional conditioning, cardiac output, metabolic adaptation. They're not interchangeable. They serve different roles. And as a former athlete, your body craves both. You need both. Not because you're chasing a gold medal anymore, but because this is how you keep your engine humming. This is how you stay sharp, how you feel good, how you sleep better, how you train harder. And that is important. So for all my former athletes and those in my former athlete society, our Skool community group, I appreciate you. I thank you. And thanks for tuning into this. Hopefully you took something away from this video and the difference between tracking your steps and actually doing dedicated conditioning. It's important, and I appreciate you. Thank you.